Story 1. I learned that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a necessary part of healing and truly connecting with others. Story 2. The 5 Buddhist Remembrances. 1. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape aging. I am of the nature to experience ill health. There is no way to escape poor health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. Everything that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My actions are my only true possessions. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the foundation upon which I stand. Story 3. The universe doesn't care about your plan. You can do your best to prepare for whatever you want, only for the winds of change to come and wipe it out seemingly out of nowhere. Try to find something to enjoy each day. You're never guaranteed tomorrow. Story 4. Sometimes it's too late to say you were sorry. I found myself in a difficult situation where my dad and I had not talked for years. He passed away and we never reconciled. That was 30 years ago, and I still feel horrible about it. Story 5. There is no starting over. There is only picking up from here. Whatever your circumstances, self-pity is the worst affliction you can have. Story 6. Life is not always fair. Despite your best intentions, hard work, and doing everything right, you may still have a very difficult life. Many things depend on luck. There is no such thing as karma. Sometimes bad people do bad things and still end up on top. It is frustrating, but once you accept this truth and focus on your own life instead of dwelling on others' unjust good fortune, you may find greater contentment. Story 7. He had learned the worst lesson that life can teach, that it makes no sense. When that happens, happiness is never spontaneous again. It is artificial and, even then, bought at the price of an obstinate estrangement from oneself and one's history. Stoically, he suppresses his horror. He learns to live behind a mask, a lifetime experiment in endurance, a performance over a ruin. Story 8. People cheer for fighters, but they invest in winners. Just because people are celebrating you does not mean they will support you. Story 9. Not everyone in real life travels as frequently as social media celebrities due to financial constraints. Travel affordability concerns have made me extremely unhappy, often leading me to contemplate suicide. Story 10. Becoming a mother is a catalyst for significant personal and emotional growth. The healing and growing pains associated with this transformation can be profoundly lonely but incredibly powerful in untangling and understanding past trauma. This awareness, along with considerable effort, helps to prevent the repetition of generational trauma. What a journey. Story 11. It is easier to be optimistic. Sometimes you have to ignore that the world is struggling to get by. Story 12. Faith is folly and will only break your heart. People are not good. They can be cruel, selfish, and short-sighted. Individuals can be brilliant and altruistic, but groups can easily become a mob in one way or another. Story 13. One of the hardest lessons life has taught me is that healing isn't something you arrive at. It's something you practice. For a long time, I thought if I just understood myself enough or found the right answer, I'd feel fixed. But even with therapy that has helped me make significant progress, I've learned that growth is often about learning to sit with discomfort, not eliminate it. Sometimes, the real challenge is accepting that certain wounds might not fully close the way I want them to, but that doesn't mean I'm broken. It just means I have to learn how to carry things with more grace, not more force. Story 14. No matter how nice and friendly you are, some people will dislike you regardless of what you do. Do not waste your time on them. Story 15. Being successful is not automatic just because you are intelligent. Performing well in school does not guarantee wealth later in life. Promotions and salary increases are not inevitable just because you put in effort. Story 16. No matter what kind of person you are or what your goals are, if health is not on your side, you cannot achieve anything you have planned. Story 17. Loss is inevitable. Enjoy every precious moment, even the hard times, with people while you have them. Story 18. A small percentage of individuals can ruin things for everyone else. These individuals are often the loudest and most confident, holding strong and uninformed opinions. Story 19. You can plan for the future, but unexpected events can occur, and you may lose everything. Make human connections to receive support. Story 20. I learned at a young age that I cannot depend on anyone. It was a hard lesson. Now at 36, I have had to unlearn that. I can depend on my husband, and it is honestly one of the best feelings to know there is someone in this world who has my back as much as I have theirs. Story 21. Much of life is completely based on your situation and luck, and there is little you can do to change it. Story 22. I put myself down because it's easier to believe that I am incapable than it is to improve. It is difficult because I have never learned how to view myself without hatred or revulsion. Story 23. I just can't moderate, especially when it comes to alcohol and drugs. So, I have to stay away from them at all costs, or it will negatively affect me. Story 24. There is no reward for doing the right thing, even when it is the harder, lonelier, and more painful path. Story 25. When you marry someone, you also marry the family. Choose wisely. My father's family took his body and held a funeral without inviting us or even informing us out of spite. We are still involved in a legal dispute. Story 26. People are truly troubled. There is more compassion in animals than in humans. Humanity has diminished with the rise of social media and mobile technology. Story 27. Don't ever make anyone your whole life, including your children. I love my kids and husband so much that I made the mistake of making them my entire world. My sons are now 25 and 23, and for the last 5 years, I have really struggled with depression and finding joy in life because before it was all about making them happy. Story 28. If you fall behind as an adult, you are completely on your own. But that's how life is. So fight hard to keep your job and your relationships. Story 29. Being a good person doesn't guarantee good outcomes. You can be kind, loyal, and give your best, and still be overlooked, misunderstood, or replaced. Life doesn't reward effort. It rewards alignment, timing, boundaries, leverage, and self-worth. Took me time to accept that, and it still stings. Story 30. You can do everything right in a relationship, and the other person can decide they don't love you anymore at any point. It doesn't matter if it's 2 months or 13 years. Nothing lasts forever. Story 31. Some people just won't like you, and there isn't anything you can do about it. Trying to make people like you usually makes them like you even less. It's just part of life. Put your efforts into the people who want to be your friend. Story 32. Your best friends could be your worst enemies all along. They ask you for favors, making you do everything in a group project, only to give you the lowest score in peer evaluation. Story 33. We as a whole and as a society can be very frightening. It takes a single opinion from one person to potentially harm millions of people. Story 34. You cannot make other people change. They have to want to. If they don't, you need to decide how you will respond to that. Often in life, your experience is up to you. That doesn't make it any easier. Story 35. The world can be a harsh place. Life continues regardless of individual circumstances. Many unkind individuals may escape accountability. It is important to find something to be grateful for and create your own happiness. Story 36. Life taught me that if you are in an extremely difficult situation and need the help of others, no one will come. If they do, they may want something in return later. No one comes to help because they genuinely like you, and that's sad. Story 37. Stick to yourself and your goals. People will bring you down to feel better about themselves, and that includes friends. Story 38. If you don't take charge of the things that impact you, someone else will handle them to their satisfaction. Story 39. That time will continue, and life will keep passing you by, regardless of how much you want things to remain unchanged or how much you wish you could go back. Story 40. Life can be challenging, but we can counteract that by being kind. Life is often shorter than we realize. It's okay to keep things simple and just enjoy life. Ex-wife. I want a divorce by the end of the month. Me? Oh, I hold back the fact that just 5 minutes ago, I received news that I have cancer. Story 41. That nobody cares that you were in the military, especially not potential employers. The reality is they owe you nothing, especially not a job. I was fortunate to learn this lesson in my early 20s, but I see it all the time with individuals leaving the armed forces. Story 42. That nothing is good or bad, and I must accept what happens and not weigh it against my expectations. Expectations lead to disappointment. Love fate. Story 43. Messing around can lead to unexpected consequences. This wasn't the worst period of my life, but it was something that could have been easily avoided. 2 months ago, I attempted a small jump on my mountain bike without any practice and fell hard on my hand. I broke my wrist, had surgery, and just had my cast removed. It will take weeks for my hand to return to normal. For now, I can't really do much with it. A brief moment of recklessness resulted in 2 months of life on hold. Story 44. I can no longer care for and love cats because I struggle with the feeling of grief. It's worse than any heartbreak or breakup I have experienced. Everything must come to an end someday, including my parents and me. Story 45. No one is coming to save you, not even those who caused the problems. You are your own savior. However, there will be people who can help and make things easier. Story 46. In the end, we are completely alone in our individual worldview. Nobody can truly understand it because they are not us. Story 47. No matter how much time you think you have, it is never enough. You could spend every day with someone you love, and when they are gone, it will still feel like you barely had a moment. Time moves quickly and is a thief. It steals people, chances, and chapters right out from under you. Story 48. Things change eventually. Your routine, which you love and look forward to, can be disrupted one day, and just like that, it's gone. You eventually settle for a new routine, then that one gets disrupted. After a while, you stop trying to establish one and just do things as they come, finding only a moment of peace here and there. Not even a bathroom break is sacred anymore because you have a cell phone and can be reached at any time for any reason. Everyone has chosen you to be the one to blame if things don't get done, but you're not officially in charge. Story 49. Never take your health for granted. It is not guaranteed, and your entire quality of life depends on it. Story 50. Finding a true friend is rare. If a relationship is unbalanced and I am putting in all the work, it is not a healthy relationship or friendship. Story 51. Whatever positive personality traits or skills you have do not matter if you are not consistently showing up and actively interacting with people in a positive way. No one is going to seek you out if you are not present. Story 52. You can't undo a mistake. Once you've made an error, there's nothing you can do to fix it. When your mother says not to play ball in the house, don't. No amount of glue will fix the broken Tiffany lamp that her late father handed down to her from his beloved mother. Story 53. Grief is incredibly heavy, and after some time passes following the loss of a loved one, people often stop asking how you are doing. Story 54. I had to put my dog down last year after a difficult few months of decline that pushed my girlfriend and me to our absolute limit. It was the first time we ever had to make such a challenging decision on our own. I believe it offered several important lessons. Love costs you dearly, but it is the most valuable and powerful thing there is. Nobody is coming to save you because nobody can. There are times when death is mercy, and times when you alone have to decide when the two have become one. Story 55. People are not fundamentally good. They are fundamentally selfish. They may appear good when they get what they want, but never trust someone you do not know well. Story 56. The healthy wear a crown that only the sick can see. The true wealth of life is the ability to move and spend life without worrying about anything other than your health. Story 57. Those you trust the most, including family, will be the ones to betray and abandon you when your world falls apart. Story 58. Realizing your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have. All other aspects can stem from this. Finding self-acceptance, true acceptance, allows you to recognize areas of opportunity and take active measures to correct them with grace. This process allows the ego to fall away more quickly, leading to deeper connections with others. It is probably the hardest and most beautiful experience in human life, at least in my humble opinion. Story 59. Life is full of loss and gain, ups and downs. You don't always know when it will hit you. Anyone who thinks they have a perfect life is delusional. Life isn't always about money. Even the richest people have emotions that can affect them deeply, and we see that frequently. You cope or you don't. I prefer to cope and move on, and I've had to do that several times in my long life. Recognizing it and learning to cope with it is far better, I have found, than constantly being in a therapist's chair. Story 60. The world does not care about you. You are just another insignificant individual who may become nothing more than a statistic in the future. It is up to you, and you alone, to find personal meaning and a purpose for getting up each day. Story 61. There is no one I can count on besides myself, so I need to work harder to be completely independent. Story 62. Someone has to be last picked, last thought of. Worst of all, last one alive. I am the eldest person in my small family. No one remembers me as a baby. No one remembers being happy I was born. It's a strange and lonely reality to accept, that everyone you have loved throughout your life is gone. Story 63. Your workplace trains you to report certain issues, but when you do, those in power often protect the individuals you report. I am a high school teacher, and I reported harassment, a hostile work environment, and concerns about student safety to someone higher up in my district. This person then informed my supervisor of everything I reported, including my name. After 2 years of dealing with retaliation, I am now leaving my school district. Even when it is the right thing to do, those with more power seem to prevail every time. Story 64. Suffering is part of the human experience. Everyone faces loss, disappointment, and hardship at some point. Learning to confront pain and grow from it is a fundamental lesson. Story 65. Some people may perceive your best qualities as a personal threat and will go to great lengths to prevent you from succeeding. Story 66. There is no rhyme or reason for death. It just exists. It doesn't improve after people die. You simply continue. Story 67. The hardest life lesson I have ever learned is that, contrary to everything I see and hear, almost nobody truly cares about anything. People may act like they care, but when it comes down to it, they will flake on you, their family, themselves, and their own standards and beliefs. Nobody has conviction anymore, and I completely understand why. We devote ourselves to something and then constantly get in our own way. We make promises we cannot keep to appear as better people. And when the time comes, we often think, why bother? My vote doesn't count anyway, so why should I bother? No need to ask the question. Someone else will. We are disappointing as a species, and since fear, greed, and the desire to harm each other still run rampant in our society, we deserve everything we will face throughout our lifetimes. Story 68. Grief is one of the hardest things to experience, and when faced with an unexpected loss, it can hit you out of nowhere one day, regardless of how you are already doing. Story 69. Blood does not make you family, and it is perfectly acceptable to leave. Additionally, some people will never understand or accept mental illness as a genuine issue. Story 70. Take care of yourself and prioritize your well-being because no one else will. I also stopped expecting others to treat me better than I treat myself. Story 71. Seeking closure from the person who harmed you often leads to disappointment. True closure comes from within. Story 72. Schizoaffective disorder taught me that sometimes you cannot return to who you were. Even with treatment and making all the right choices, often there truly is no going back once something like this develops. I know that sounds obvious, but when you are living it, even though you cognitively understand that some conditions cannot be cured, it is really hard to accept that things will never truly be the same again. Story 73. Acceptance and change are not grand moments on the edge of a cliff, shouting into the sea. They occur in a small, quiet room. Story 74. My intuition is often correct. My gut feeling remains valid even when I cannot articulate the reasons behind it. Story 75. You always think there will be more time, then suddenly there isn't, and you realize all the time you have wasted being the person others expected you to be. Story 76. That men are fundamentally undesirable, and you have to work really hard, much harder than you think, to avoid being alone. If you don't focus on it most hours of most days, you will likely end up alone. Story 77. Humans love chemicals. Some chemicals in different states of matter are harmful. Sometimes, these chemicals lead you to believe you have found the answers to what is wrong with you. You can discover this on your own. You do not need to create an obstacle course of bad habits, stress injuries, and physical triggers to understand that. Story 78. Sounds too good to be true, probably is. This is how I feel about the Amazon Vine program. It was cool until the taxes came. Now it is a convoluted mess. Honestly, much of it was kind of junk, and they kept making it more gamified. Sometimes I miss it, but the way it is set up now is also a pain. The fact that the items are not even considered income but are taxed that way baffles me. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.